The E.A.F.P podcast.
As electrifying as a hairdryer thrown into a hot tub, my friend.
On the JCA Sports Podcast on Spotify and Anchor app. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the E.A.F.P podcast here on the Star 6 Media platform and also the John Konavi platform too on Facebook. I'm also live on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch too as well. Also, you can follow us on all our social media platforms under the Star 6 Media social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all that good stuff where you can just follow all our episodes, not just only my soccer podcast, but all the other podcasts like Big League Chicago, Sports Strip Live, 3 Up, 3 Down, Slapshot, and many, many more to come to as well. We go live each and every day with different content, and we just want to provide you guys with the best sports information, not only just around the nation, but also around the world too, because I am talking about the World Cup, and that's what we're on tonight. Today, I am. Last week, I gave out my predictions. Who's coming out of the group? I give you guys the round of 16 today, and next week we got the quarterfinal, the semifinal, and the final for next week's episode. As we got 10 days to the World Cup. Quick shout out to my cousin Brenda. Happy birthday. She turns a young 21 years old. So she says. But yeah, happy birthday to my cousin Brenda. But yeah, 10 days. Qatar, Ecuador. You see my ugly hand right now. How it goes slant word. But it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. New drip. As you can see. Again, I'm going to put the link on here too as well. If you guys want to talk about anything soccer coming up, anything World Cup, what's on your mind? I also got a little semi-rant to go on. Well, not a rant, more like I guess you could say rant, right? I don't think there's no other word to prove it or to say it to. But yeah, this World Cup, it's already it's doubted as one of, it's already said one of the worst World Cups so far to ever start. And we haven't kicked the ball yet. So we get into that as well. But I am here. I am live. The link is on the comment section if you guys want to join me to talk about some football. And we got a lot to cover. Let's get into it. Last week I gave you my predictions on who's going to win the group. I'm gonna put that right up as well. The first name you see is the ones that I think they're going to win the group. The second one is obviously who is going to come in second. And like I said, you could just follow us on all our social media platforms and also like and share all of our shows. So in Group A, we got I got Netherlands and Netherlands and Senegal. That I think that's going to go 1 and 2. Now it's going to be a little bit interesting now as an injury to Senegal. Not only one of the star players in the World Cup in Sadio Mane, but also it's sad. It's sad to see. This was probably Africa's most strongest team coming into the World Cup. Senegal. They're the highest ranking African team in this World Cup. And they're taking a huge blow. Now, defensively, they can hold their own, but let's be honest, Sadio Mane is a big difference maker. Tell Liverpool that. See how Liverpool's doing with that one. So as well, how big of a difference Sadio Mane is. And it's devastating that we are seeing another player to go down in injury for the World Cup this year. And this early of a season, or not even before the World Cup even starts, and it's sad to see. It's sad to see something like this happen to Senegal. I'm gonna keep true to what I put last week. I don't want to change it now. I already set it in stone. I mean, I can if I want to, but I am not that guy. Yeah, right. Even Blatter said it was a mistake, man. He's the one that chose it. How about that one? Yeah, funny that one. What's up, Rick? Rick from Star 6 Media too as well. He's in multiple shows, Only Football, Big League Chicago, and many, many more too. So yeah, it's sad to see. Also, there's a documentary out before I go. There's a documentary on Netflix. If you guys haven't seen, it's called FIFA Uncovered. Basically, it just talks about the build up to the World Cup, not only just the 2022 World Cup, which kind of set off everything, but also the 2018 World Cup and how it was in Russia and how it's just a crazy. It's a docu-series, not a documentary. Let me rephrase it. It's a docu-series. I think the first 2 or 3 episodes came out yesterday. I'm barely on episode 1, so I'm about to watch it even after this one today. But I know the rest of the episodes are going to come out next week before the World Cup. And bravo to Netflix to bring this one out simply because the timing was perfect on all the controversy that this World Cup brought into this world within the last 8 years. So let's whoever did this one, whoever put this documentary out for Netflix about the FIFA Uncovered and everything else like that, give that person a raise because that was the perfect way, the perfect way to come out with this documentary too. But yes, I'm like I said, I'm going down through the groups of last week who I think is going to come out first and second to head into the playoff bracket of the World Cup to the round of 16. I'm only going to give you the round of 16 today, the quarterfinal, semifinal, and final next week, leading up to Sunday's game on the 20th for this one right here, Qatar versus Ecuador. In Group B, in one of the most tighter groups in this World Cup, I have I have England as first place and the United States men's national team in second. Now, I say that, and now after I seen the 26-man roster that came out yesterday, again, I already said it in stone. I'm that man. I'm that guy. I stick to whatever I said is going to hold true. But man, oh man, there's a lot. For the first time, I think the United States men's national team in about 15 years or so, give or take. There's a goalkeeper controversy going on there. There's Zach Steffen, who's been the number one goalkeeper for the United States men's national team for the last 2, 3, 4 since Bert Holger was the head coach. So it's been 4 years. He's been the number one. He's not even in the call up for the team. It's Matt Turner, Horvath and also Sean Johnson. And now who's the number one goalkeeper? Now it's Matt Turner by default because he's been arguably the number two even before, even when Zach Steffen was there. He's default number one, but he was also number two behind him throughout the qualifiers. And they're also taking the second or third youngest squad into a World Cup in the United States men's national history. And it's one of those situations where you kind of feel like I know what Borhalger is trying to do, and maybe he is setting up for the next group or next wave of players for the next World Cup that's going to be here in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. But it's kind of like you haven't been there in 4 years. You haven't you've shown a very up and down qualifier into this coming into this World Cup. Although you finished second, but you finished behind Canada, and most of the games that they had, let's be honest, guys, most of the games that they did play didn't look too convincing. I still say that they have a problem in the striker position. They didn't take Ricardo Pepi, who's having a decent season out in Germany. They didn't take Pulfolk, who's having a great season in Young Boys out in Switzerland. Those are the main two strikers. They have some goals in qualifying matchups and also in competition for the CONCACAF. I feel like they left them thin and short there. Now the midfield was always going to be solid, right? Out wide, even with Christian Pulisic coming out wide, all this, like the midfielder was always going to be the strongest, I guess, position in the field for the United States men's national team. But it's kind of like question marks in the back, question marks on top. This is your first World Cup in 8 years since Brazil 2014, and you're taking the second or third youngest team that you ever have taken to the World Cup in your entire history of participating in this tournament. I don't know, man. Like I did this all prematurely, even before the 26-man roster was even coming out. But even in this group, a group where you have Wales, who they should take serious, because that could be the easy dark horse, not only in this group but probably in this whole entire competition. Because Gareth Bale in Wales is just a whole different team and a whole different animal. And I get it; they sometimes in big competitions they're a shell of themselves. But at the same time, it's like it's a team that you shouldn't take for granted. And we're going to see if this men's USA men's national team is taken up for the challenge. So yeah, I I still think that they're talented enough to probably get out of this group. I still think that they can surprise a few teams. A lot of teams probably won't. The same thing, like how everybody's saying about Wales and don't take it for granted. I think a lot of teams in this group, including geez, now I forgot who's in their group too as well outside of Wales. Um, it just you again, you shouldn't take this team for granted either or. This group should be a very tight one. I feel like England should run away with this one, right? But they're also not coming in well into this World Cup too. If they're not coming in as one, they were the heavy favorites coming in, and now with this little upswing that they had, it's not looking very convincing for this team, for the English national team, for the Three Lions. And now we have ourselves a group here, guys, of who's going to be the best out of the worst. Um, and it's Iran. There you go. That's the other team that came into the group, and that's another team. Probably everybody should get an easy 3 points from it. But I mean, again, Wales in their big competition fiasco, not good enough. Um, the United States men's national team coming into this tournament, very ups and downs. England coming into this tournament, not playing very well. It's just like, okay, who's going to be what how I just say the best of the worst, right? I still feel like England should come out of this group tops, and the United States men's national team should follow through in second place. Follow up in Group C. You see what I'm up, right? You see the drip. I love these guys, and I hate to say this too. Again, I'm not convinced the Selección Mexicana is coming in at all in a good state, right? Um, They still haven't announced their 26-man roster. They will announce it on Monday, but already controversy as it is. I mean, no Acevedo. I think this seems like Ochoa back in 2010, hell, even 2006. We go far back as well when Ochoa was probably one of the young top goalkeepers coming into the Liga Mexicana with Club America. And they didn't even call him. I don't remember if they called him up or not. I know it was Osvaldo Sanchez, Oscar Perez, and I cannot remember who the third goalkeeper was for the Selección Mexicana at that time, but he was showing out that, coming in, he was the goalie of the future and whatnot. And once again, he got called up for 2010, but he was the backup goalie to Oscar Perez. Big mistake. That should have been Ochoa's World Cup. I think he was in 06. I think Ochoa did get called up in 2006. But regardless of the fact, right? That doesn't matter. We're now in 2022. But Acevedo should have been the third goalkeeper behind. I mean, I don't know what they see in Talavera. I get it. Experienced goalkeeper. He's up there. He's been there, done that. But he should have at least been the third. In my opinion, I think Acevedo, even though he wasn't going to play. I get that. But at least you at least give the kid an opportunity to play or to be part of the competition, to participate with these players that are going to the World Cup. And also just to give him how a World Cup is going to feel, because more than likely, he's going to be at the moment, at this point in time, he is going to be the number one goalkeeper heading into the next World Cup. I don't think Ochoa is going to be there anymore, as much as it hurts my heart and breaks my heart to say that, but it's true. Ochoa, this will probably be his last World Cup. Even if he still is playing in 4 more years, he still shouldn't even be there. And I honestly am that type of guy who should take some young players for the next crop of players for the following World Cup. Because, I mean, look, Santi Jimenez, he didn't even get the call up. He's the top scorer in the Europa League. I get it, Europa League, but he's the top scorer. You cannot tell me that you cannot find a spot for for a top goal scorer in your country in a tournament, in a European tournament, on top of that, and not give him a chance to even compete. Look, I love Raul Jimenez with all my heart. I really, really, really do. I love him with all my heart, especially where he's coming from. Bias, it may be the bias in me, but let's be honest, he has been one of the top strikers within the last, I want to say, what, 8, 7, 8 years, 9 years, if that. Remember, he scored the Chilena in Mexico against Panama to save them, to take them into 2014. Okay, to take them to 2014 World Cup. So yes, I get it. Biased in me because of the team that he played for, who he came up and where he went. But at the same time, he has been the best striker in the Selección Mexicana. However the case may be with this team, with this structure of a team, who else is who who's their backup, right? Who is like you took Henry Martin now? Again, last week I said it. I love Henry. I mean, I don't love Henry Martin. I always thought Henry Martin was not even good enough to be part of the Selección Mexicana. Hell, not even good enough for even Club America, who I cheer for in La Liga Mexicana. He surprised me. He's been surprising me literally the last from the clausura of last season to the apertura this season and how well he's been playing and and his creation from goal. He's literally like like he actually comes drops back and tries to create for the opportunity to score the goal for the team. But when it comes to the selección mexicana, you don't see that. You don't see the service that he could fall back as much as he can. He could drop back as much as he can to get the ball and start the play going. But for some odd reason, when it comes to him, it's just play on top, be the striker, be what you're known for, try to score goals, and that's it. I don't know if they're gonna have the same liberty. And with Raul Jimenez not even playing as much as he's supposed to with Wolves because of his injuries. Oh, and on top of that, to me, Funes Mori, whatever the case may be, that experiment should have stopped a long time ago. Okay, a long time ago. There is no true striker, and even with 100% Raul Jimenez on a team, maybe now with Henry Martin may be different. But I've always been saying, and I've been saying it for years before his head injury, that literally the only position is after Ochoa, who's next? After Raul Jimenez, who's next? Right now, I mean, it's still the same question with Ochoa, but who's coming up for to be the lead man out front for the Selección Mexicana? There's no Tecatito, another star player who is hurt, who is not going to participate in this World Cup. Get that to be a little later. Is you know, Chucky is a shell of himself from 2018. Let's be honest. After that goal against Germany in 2018 to get him that 1-0 victory, hasn't been the same Chucky Lozano. I know injuries have held him back for about a year and a half, but it's still not the same Chucky Lozano that we all expected that he thought he was going to be when he was PSV and now with Napoli. It's like this team, and plus what they've said of what the starting lineup was going to look like yesterday against Iraq when they won 4-0, that is the possible starting lineup for I mean, obviously when you put in Hector Herrera and everybody else who will play the second half, I mean that's going to probably be the starters. But rumor has it that Edson Alvarez won't even be the starter for the game against Poland in the World Cup qualifying matchup, the first one. How the hell are you not going to put your best? To me, Edson is the best player in the Selección Mexicana to date. To date. Again, you might say, Eric, a little biased for wisdom, but to be honest with you, I don't care. What I see, when I see my own two eyes, I see a guy who is playing in the top European competition, who has his spot held down in Ajax. Again, it's Ajax, it's in Netherlands. Maybe he'll go out to another team. But again, he has been the best player for the Selección Mexicana for years. Does he have mental lapse? Yes. Well, point being, the final that they lost against the United States men's national team in the Nations League, where he let the header go, that's all on his fault. I get that. Sometimes he does lose it, but on the ball, defender, everything else, how he plays the game, how he sees, just if the rumor is true that he may not even start the first game against the World Cup, this prediction of me putting them second in the group might not even happen. Put it in Poland. That first game is important. Argentina is going to run away with this group. I personally believe Argentina is probably one of the, if not the best team coming into this World Cup and has a good shot of winning this all. They haven't lost in like 652 games, over exaggeration, I know, but they haven't lost the game in that long. And for Mexico to hold them, to have them in this group, and I remember texting my brother when we were watching, or when I was watching them filling out the groups, I told them, and I was like, just don't give me Argentina. And when they put in the same pot, I was like, damn, don't give me Poland. Bam, Poland. So this is going to be a tough group for Selección Mexicana, the team that right now, as much as I'm repping this sweater and the chanclas too, I can't pick. I can't even pick up the chanclas. I'm gonna show you guys my chanclas, and I got them today too. I'm that guy right now. See the chanclas, brand new, fresh. You see the colors? Yes, I'm rocking all that sweater, even the 3/4 pants that I have, all Mexico, right? Me talking all this crap, and yet I'm still representing because I'm that idiot that always believes in the Selección Mexicana, always believes that hopefully, like the hope that They can prove me wrong so bad. Yet this is like the least confident I feel in this team. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing here by choosing them second, but it's in my heart. And and this group is winnable for them to come out in second place. It's all important. I don't think they have a shot against Argentina in the second game. They need the result against Poland, and they need the 3 points against Saudi Arabia in this group, and then let Poland and Argentina play themselves out of this one. Rick, what's up, Rick? Again in the comment section, guys. You can always join me here in the comment section too as well. I'll read them out loud too as well. You can always join me. The link is on the app on the comment section too as well. If you guys want to join me and talk some football, I would love for you guys to hop on and talk soccer. Guys, we got 10 days for the World Cup, and you're listening and watching the E.A.F.P podcast here on the Star Six Media Facebook page and also the John Conavi Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And make sure you just follow us on all our social media platforms too as well. He said he's going to miss Ochoa. That dude played his heart out. Is Irving Lozano making the squad? By default. Right, Rick? I mean, that's the best answer I could give you. It's literally by default. It really is. It's really by default. I mean, he is one of the high quality players for the Selección Mexicana. I knew he was battling a little bit of injury here and there, but it just it's one of those. It's how should I say this? Do I think he deserves a starting spot? No. I obviously don't think he deserves a starting spot. Um, I think like to me personally, I think Uriel Antuna should probably fill in that role. I feel like he's good on that on the left hand side. Hell, to be honest, I wouldn't even mind experimenting, right? And maybe the next game against Sweden I think it's next Wednesday that they play Mexico against Sweden as their last preparation for the World Cup. I wouldn't mind experimenting a false nine aspect where you put Alexis Vega in that position, right? Because I know you're gonna probably put him out wide, right? I think it's gonna be Antuna and Alexis out wide if you're not gonna start Chucky. Now I get it. Chucky probably if he's in, he's starting, right? So who are you gonna put on the opposite side? Me personally, I think it should be Antuna. I think Antuna gives you that little bit of flair on the outside that you kind of really need for the Selección Mexicana to, I guess, make whatever up top work, whether if it's Henry Martin or Raúl Jimenez. Um, but it's tough, man. It's tough to say what combination will work right with the Selección Mexicana. Me personally, I know Andres Guardado is the captain of this team, and he's gonna have his spot. I still believe if he's gonna start, I mean, I rather have Charlie. I think Charlie is probably the one of the best and young up and coming players for La Selección Mexicana, and has a bright future ahead of him. And I get it. We're gonna miss the leadership of Andres Guardado on the field, but I do believe like Andres Guardado should come in a time where he's needed defensively or even offensively with his touch on the ball, creating the spaces and putting the ball pinpoint passes and stuff like that. I personally wouldn't start Andres Guardado. I know he's going into his fifth World Cup. I know he's been there since '06, but I personally do believe in my heart that it should be a starting lineup of three with Edson, Hector Herrera, and Charlie. I think that's the best midfield combination for this 4-3-3. And maybe my wishes do come true. Maybe Raúl Jimenez finds his scoring boots, puts on his scoring boots, and gives me some type of hope. Like that's the one thing I hate about this tournament is the hope that the Selección Mexicana is going to give me against Poland if they win. And I feel like we're going to be world beaters. And I feel like if we could do it to Germany, if we could do it to France, if we can do it to, if we can hold down 0-0 against Brazil and beat Croatia, like how we did, like in the group of death that Mexico had in 2014 with that team, in big moments in against Italy in 2002. In 2006, it was, I'm trying to remember their group in 2006. I can't remember the group in 2006, but I know they had one. But like Mexico has these moments where the big clubs against them, like they will come out, show out, and get a result. So I mean, they have qualified for the round of 16. Each in the last 7 World Cups. That's still going on there. They're one of the top teams to do so. Um, we'll see. We'll see. And I just hope that they don't give me that hope. If they do, I guess the only way they can give me hope is they convincingly beat Poland. That's pretty much it. So we'll see when we talk about that on the 21st, 22nd. Group D, I got France and Denmark. I think it's pretty simple. The curse of being the World Cup champion is still out there for France. They lost Paul Pogba, another star, missing out on the World Cup. Trend, right? I'm finding trends here. Finding trends here. Um, Another team, France. I think they're deep, from forwards to middles to defenders to goalkeepers to the bench to the players that haven't even been qualified or haven't even been called up to the work. Like France could literally put out 2 squads in this. If they put France A and France B, stacked, stacked. But the curse is still real. The curse is real of the World Cup, and we'll see. We'll see. But I feel like this group with Denmark in this group with gee, who else? I have it right here, guys. Hold on, give me a second. With Denmark in this group, I think that's the only toughest competition. I think Denmark, as you see right there, Denmark is going to be number 2. Australia and Tunisia should be simple, unless if they shoot themselves in the foot. But it should be simple. I think 1 and 2 perfectly just fine. Moving on, Germany and Costa Rica. This is the group where it's Germany, Costa Rica, Spain, Japan. Spain don't strike fear in my eyes. I think the next World Cup in 2028, that's going to be Spain's team. Young players, bunch of old players, but missing players in key positions. The goalkeeper position is probably solid for now, and it's just who's going to score the goals. Alvaro Morata, as inconsistent as they come. No Ansu Fati. I think that should have been one of the key players, but I get it. Injuries. He's really getting his legs on. Gavi, Pedri in the middle. Young squad. It's a young squad. But I think this tournament this tournament is not for them. I think you get the team of another juggernaut in Germany against the last and final straw of this golden generation of Costa Rican football. I think they're going to go out with a bang here. Going to come out second in this group, and I think Germany and Costa Rica come out 1 and 2. The one group that I think I just made crazy, and honestly, is just because this is just me coming from my personal opinion. Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. I honestly do believe Belgium's a little bit overrated. Yes, they got players left and right. They have a starting 11 of players that where they play at in the position and how they play. With that being said, when it comes to big tournaments, ever since they lost the semifinal in the Euros a couple years back, they haven't been the same since. I know they lost in the quarterfinals in the last World Cup, but when it comes to big game situations for Belgium, Belgium finds a way to crack. And I think now with this team, with the Kevin De Bruyne's, with the Eden Hazards, with the Thibaut Courtois, with the Romelu Lukaku's, with the Torgan Hazard, with the Dries Mertens, all of them on their back end of their careers in their late 20s, early 30s. Um, it's the last and final straw. This golden generation of Belgium, but I do believe this team will probably crash out. I don't have any. I think this team is super overrated. I won't be surprised if they make out of the group. This is just me talking me and how I personally feel. But if they come out of the group, great. I can see them coming out tops of this group, along with Croatia, another team who's on their tail end of the golden generation that went to the final in the World Cup in 2018, that went to the semifinal of the Euros the year before, has been in pressure in big game situations outside of 2014. But outside of that, this team has been consistently there in the last eight years, and And again, last hurrah with this team. I mean, they still got Luka Modric, they still got Kovacic, they still got key players in key positions, Perisic and all that in this team. It's the last hurrah, but I say Canada, and I mean Croatian Canada 1-2. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think here on the comment section as well. Who do you guys think are going to come out of each group? Here on the E.A.F.P podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, on the JCA, on the John Conavi Facebook, and also Star Six Media. Are pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. I think 1-2 is easy. Brazil and Switzerland. I think they're the best two teams in this group. That is with Serbia and Cameroon. Cameroon again, one of those teams who, um, they qualified directly, but it still wasn't. They did that by the faltering of Ghana, which Ghana is probably the weakest African team coming in there. And I think they're lowest ranking team in this World Cup too as well. The last time I read, but no shot in this group. No disrespect to Serbia or Cameroon, but I think Switzerland and definitely Brazil are on a whole nother level into this group. So I gave you that. And my last and final group I gave is Uruguay and Portugal. I think Uruguay is going to come out this group tops of this division. I mean, out of this group, Cristiano Ronaldo's last and final World Cup. I know they're going to give their all for him. But this team, as much as they have some good players in key positions too, as well, it's just I feel the bench is not enough. The depth is not enough there. It's another team with this just starting 11, and that's about it. But in the group where is Ghana again, the lowest ranked nation in this World Cup, and the South Korea team that may or may not have Heung-min Son. So even with Son, South Korea should be is the dark horse in this group. Don't take them lightly, and they will defeat you speed on out wide, especially if they have Heung-min Son, and they know how to keep it tight. They know how to keep it tight defensively in the back. So I just went through the groups one more time from last week. So now I'm going to go to the round of 16. First off, 1A against 2B, which will be Netherlands against the United States men's national team. And this one, I think this is where we say goodbye to the United States men's national team in this group. Netherlands, a very strong team coming into this World Cup. A very young team too, as well. Young, competitive. But the young players play in good teams, in teams that are in high competition, like the Frankies, like the Memphises, Virgil van Dijk, just to name a few players on this team. I think Netherlands will hold this one down. They're the team that's going to advance. Round of 16, B1 against A2. Again, I think this should be an easy passage for England. Senegal, no Sadio Mane. Yeah, maybe they might not even make it into this playoff round. I do believe England will be good enough to make it out of at least the round of 16. C1 against D2. Argentina versus Denmark. Again, Argentina in their 762 game winning streak. Haven't lost in about 2.5 years, maybe 3. Give me Argentina in this one. This one's going to be a tight one, too. Denmark, the darlings of the Euros a couple years back, and especially what had happened to them in the competition. Everybody fell in love with that team, and it's a very talented team too. Let's be real about them. Denmark would be good enough for this one, but Argentina, we'll give them. Denmark will give them a tough battle, but I think Argentina will handle their business and move on to the quarterfinals. What can I say, guys? I mean, France, Mexico. They did it before in 2010. They surprised France in that group of death that had Uruguay, France, Mexico, and for the life of me, I can't remember that fourth team that was irrelevant. I know it was Uruguay and Mexico that came out 1-2 in that group that year. Can they do it again? Can this curse live on? I think it's the real $100 $1 million question, right? What will give first, the curse of the quinto partido for la selección mexicana, or the curse of being the World Cup champions for France? You know where my heart goes, guys. You know where my heart goes. But my football mind, if this is the matchup, France is just depth everywhere. Even without Paul Pogba, even without N'Golo Kante, uh, France, France. I hope I'm wrong. I'd rather be wrong than right, but France. Moving on, E1 versus F2. This is where we say goodbye to all the CONCACAF teams. Well, actually, no, Costa Rica's still there. I still have Costa Rica one. But this is where we say goodbye to the darlings of Canada. I think Canada will be well represented in this World Cup. I honestly do believe that they're going to be the best CONCACAF team represented here in the World Cup. It's unfortunate that they have to face against this juggernaut of um, of uh, of Germany. Too overpowering, too overwhelming. Um, Players deep, benches deep. As much as I want Canada to advance or to represent CONCACAF very well, when you have Germany in front of your face, it's going to be hard to break them down. It's going to be, and plus it's their first World Cup ever, so I mean they're going to be in back-to-back World Cups this year. I mean in 4 years, as they're one of the hosts for the next World Cup. So yeah, moving on, F1 against E2. Again, this is now we officially say goodbye to all the CONCACAF teams. I think Croatia just has a little bit more to give in the tank than Costa Rica does. Costa Rica, again, probably coming in as one of the oldest teams in this World Cup. I do believe that they're going to show a good fight. They're going to have a good game. They're going to give it their all. It's just Croatia's going to have a better, just a better team overall. Just way better team overall. Moving on, the Portuguese uh, sh- uh, showdown, I guess you can say, the talking smack in Portuguese between Portugal and Brazil. It's going to be a very interesting matchup. Simply because, again, if you want to come talk about one of another team that's probably deep in this World Cup, it's definitely Brazil too as well. I mean, they did leave off a few players that could possibly even make the squad, but they're coming into this team and a lot of pressure on Brazil to come out of this group and to come out of this World Cup and to have a good tournament. This is a very interesting matchup, and I think this is one of the best matchups that I have here. Definitely for the round of 16. Um, can Cristiano Ronaldo make this interesting? Can Cristiano Ronaldo make the Brazilians cry like Germany did in the semifinal a couple years back in 2014 in their home turf? I do. I want to look. I want to have that storybook ending. I love to have storybook endings for these players like the Messis, like the Cristiano Ronaldos, and players like that caliber. But too much Brazil. I think Brazil is going to be a very, very good team into this World Cup, and I do see this team heading into the semifinal. So give me Brazil over Portugal and Uruguay versus Switzerland. A very interesting matchup in two teams that are gritty. Two teams that are very, very gritty. You see Switzerland with their attacking force going on top. They can cause havoc. They can they can disrupt you as much as they can with their high press, and they're going to be on you every single time. And Uruguay, we're a team that normally is known defensively. Now it kind of has switching up in a team that presses a little too high. And I believe they were kind of one of the high scoring teams in CONMEBOL in the World Cup qualifying. So this is an interesting matchup. There has to be an upset, right? There needs to be an upset in this round of 16. Um, Give me. Let's make it. No, I don't want to make it interesting. I want to be right with this one. Give me Switzerland. I think I'll take Switzerland on this one. I think Switzerland has just enough to make it uncomfortable for Uruguay to crack under pressure and to actually, go ahead and go forward and pressure Uruguay and make them commit errors and do all that. So yeah, yeah. So that's my round of 16 matchups next week. Like I said, I'm gonna go down to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and even the final. I'm gonna give you guys my winner as we are down to a week and a half left for the World Cup to start. Sunday, November 20th, first World Cup. in the winter, which is beyond stupid. Um, I don't I don't like it. I don't think everybody does. If you're a real football fan, you don't like this. You don't like the fact that the World Cup is in during around the holidays. You don't like the fact the clubs don't like the fact that the World Cup is around during their big part of their season, where we're supposed to have Champions League instead of group matches for the World Cup, when we're supposed to have league tournaments or League Cup games and instead of World Cup matchups. When we're heading into the holiday season and most of the teams take a break for a holiday season, and yet some of the key players are going to play in the World Cup. Teams are going to have to take a holiday because the pressure of coming back, it finishes December 20th. If teams are going to go back even before that, yes, I know that. I'm sorry, not teams, players. Players are going to go back before that because they're going to be eliminated from the tournament. But you're talking about you're cutting away the season. Like, you made teams ramp up their their season. You finished off the Champions League qualifications or the group stages quicker than you normally do, along with the Europa League and all the other European tournaments that you have out there. You're trying to throw in League Cup games to somewhere in between. You're making players play, 2 or 3 times out of the week just so you could fit in a good chunk of your season before this World Cup started. Oh, by the way, injuries has happened. There's going to be key players to some teams like a human son, which I think he more than likely he's going to play, like a Sadio Mane, that means everything for Senegal, like a Paul Pogba, who may not be good on club teams, but for this France team, this Paul Pogba France player is a whole different monster. Obviously, Tecatito Corona with La Selección Mexicana, he hasn't been playing well, but another factor for the Selección Mexicana. I guess you can say that, and I say that hesitantly, but it's true. He's a contributor for the Selección Mexicana. Like, players are going to go down, and you're talking about there's still one more week left before everybody goes on break for the World Cup. The first time in winter's history. Like Greg said, even Blatter said Qatar was a mistake. Watch the docuseries on Netflix, guys. It explains a lot on why this was such a bad World Cup selection. Even the one in Russia. I even go on par to say that. Even Brazil was kind of weird too, as well in a way. But Brazil was chosen simply because to get off the stink of South Africa back in 2010, which a lot of people didn't understand that at the time, why South Africa. And I get it. At that time, it was a little bit more understanding than it is today, right? It was a little bit more understanding because it's a global game and you kind of want to give, other countries an opportunity to host this tournament, this beauty of a tournament. And I get that. And I get that 100%. But when you choose Russia, which they have their own problems, and especially when you choose Qatar in a tournament that's held in the summer when there are no league games at all being played, there's no tournaments, no nothing. This tournament is supposed to be the only shine for the World Cup. And in the summertime, and everybody enjoys it. The fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is mind boggling that how corruption just kills a game of sports. Over the weekend, I want to say it was probably I know it was in Germany. I'm trying to remember the game that had this, but one of the signs that said, 15,000 workers killed for 5,200 and some odd minutes played for a tournament. That's what we got. Qatar was nowhere near World Stadiums, but they built the stadiums. They worked day and night for the last 8 years to provide everybody a World Cup in Qatar because they won the bid. So surprisingly, right? They won that bid in I think it was 2015, 2016, whenever the year it was. And it was just a very head scratching. And now we changed it to the wintertime simply because it 120 degrees in the summertime in Qatar. Let's see what it is. This is already marked as the worst World Cup in world history. The ambassador the other day with the anti-Semitic gay, I think just his homophobic remarks of for the World Cup and what he said. Like it's just going down and worse. Not only for the workers killed. I know it was already too late. It was in the low thousands at the time when they were trying to think about removing the World Cup from Qatar and putting it here in the United States where they have the capacity to do so. Mexico, England, not Germany, but England, Italy, places like that have already the structures and the stadiums to do so. With that being said, though, it was already late. It sucked. And now we're having this World Cup playing in November and December when we're supposed to be enjoying our club teams. We're supposed to be enjoying the playoffs for La Liga Mexicana. We're supposed to be enjoying the final stages of the Champions League. We're supposed to be enjoying, waking up every, waking up and watching our teams on the weekend that we've truly support. And don't get me wrong, this tournament is beautiful. Let me go by saying that this tournament is beautiful as well. This tournament is the best tournament, and I could argue anybody with that day and night and day, 24 hours a day. This is the best tournament ever structured. It's unfortunately I was surrounded by corruption, but you get this tournament every 4 years. You get this tournament where teams and a lot of people don't understand, but countries that like Canada that's going to their first World Cup and countries that never been to the World Cup that even participating in the World Cup, just only have 3 games guaranteed played is just enough. Hell, us, me as a Mexican fan, like I crave to see them play like I'm so used to seeing playing 4 games. Like I crave for them to have that fifth game, like playing that fifth game. Just imagine playing the quarterfinal once again. They've only done it twice in their history, and both teams were playing in Mexico in 70 and 86. That was the furthest that Mexico has ever played in a World Cup. Like that's what I want. Like this tournament is such a beautiful tournament that is just being ruined by greedy people and putting in positions, and not only putting in positions for players to sacrifice their club time and ramping up their games because they're obligated, because the clubs are the one that are paying these players salaries, not the selection, not the selecciones, not any of the national teams. Mind you that they get a paycheck from them. It's not the lump sum that they get from the clubs. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars or the high thousands, whatever the case may be. It's a good pay, but it's not what the clubs get, and that's what made the clubs not like the switch from the summertime to the wintertime. But the fact of the matter is it's in Qatar is what was just mind-boggling. I I will still watch this game. I will still watch this tournament. I will still watch my teams. I'll watch the United States men's national team because I'll watch the Germany games. I'm a fan of the world sport of soccer. I am. Die hard. I'll watch any game. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Club America. It doesn't have to be Arsenal. It doesn't have to be, the teams that I really truly root for. I could watch, a Celta Vigo versus Valladolid game. I can watch a Union Berlin versus a Freiburg game. I could watch a Torino versus a Sassuolo. I could watch games. I could even watch an Atlas and Tigres game for all I care. I could watch a Nashville FC versus Inter Miami game. Like I could watch soccer games. It's in my blood. I grew up watching it. It's just unfortunate that this beautiful tournament is in a position where corruption ruined the game of football, the game of soccer. It wasn't a rant, but it was just it's one of those like just watch the docu series on Netflix, guys. Watch it's called FIFA Uncovered. Um, it's a docu series. It's perfect. It leads up to the World Cup. I think it's a 6-part episode. It's gonna finish. It's the first 3 today, yesterday, next 3 next week. Just watch it, understand it. this tournament is a beautiful tournament to watch. Like I said, it's every 4 years. The next time it's going to be here in the United States. It's going to be in Mexico. And it's going to be in Canada. I'm excited for that too as well. Next week, the last E.A.F.P podcast pre-World Cup. And then you're going to get the E.A.F.P podcast every single day for the group stages, for the round of 16s, for the quarterfinal, for the semifinal, and for the final, where we talk about every single game. So just make sure you guys are locked in, and follow the Star 6 Media Facebook page and hit the little bell to get notified when all our podcasts are on, not just my soccer podcast, but Big League Chicago, Sports Trip Live, the GC Sports Podcast, 3 Up, 3 Down, Only Football, the Slap Shot, and all the other podcasts coming in this wonderful, wonderful media production group. Until next time, guys, I'll see you guys next week. I will give you guys the rest of my quarterfinal, semifinal, and final, and my prediction and my winner of the World Cup for the 2022 World Cup that starts in about 10 days. Happy birthday, Nena. Love you. Hope you enjoy yourself. As for me, I will see you guys next week for another episode of the E.A.F.P podcast. Good luck gambling this weekend. I'll see you guys then.
Staggeringly brilliant, and Sevilla fall apart like King Louis' temple. It's astonishing. Look at the way he picks his spot. He could make Ebenezer Scrooge smile with the quality of his goal.
See you later.
Oh. Yes. Yes.